Things I could do. Shankoi on himself. How are we all? How are we all? How's your drive time commute? How are your father? I don't know if this is going to help Islam in terms of Sunni and Shia. The church has always ought to reform, but I don't think that's a matter of reformation. I think they're all very valid in the Islamic community. Trying to make the rest of the white boys in the world valid, isn't it, Joe? You know what I mean? A little humility go a long way there, Frankie. So, what I was going to say, I understood this kind of thing about lordship and made men. Lovely to be a merrily made man, not be a miserable made man. That's fucking crappy, man. Immortal misery. Nice to be immortally merry, you know, wouldn't it? Immortal and merry, long live the fucking. Anyway, I said in the other videos, and it's kind of in this passing on, kind of makes sense that Michael Corleone saved his father, who was a Don. Vito was a Don. And Michael Corleone saved his father in the hospital scene, if you remember, when he saved his father. And then the Irish cops smacked him around very soon after. It's the devil inside him, you know what I mean? The grumpy, angry devil inside him. And smacked him around and told the boys to pick him up and get him up again and smacked him back down. That's the fucking worst thing he could have done. Because he was technically just somewhat a made man by saving his father's life. Very, very cleverly. And even the florist that assisted in this event is a very fortunate man. I mean, the florist guy that showed up, the flowers. He's a very fortunate man because he also assisted in saving the life of the Don. And I realised this about saving the life, and I said in the other videos, I don't want to repeat myself too much, that no one believed that Michael was Don, because everyone wants their kids to be a Don. Everyone wants to pass it down in the family. Everybody wants to keep it in the family, you know. You look at all of them, royalty and Judaism, they all want to keep it in the family. But you really need to save. So you can save it by perpetuating a tradition. You can save Jesus by perpetuating the validity and understanding of Jesus Christ. And this is what I want to say about Islam. It's only white boys and all, the Vatican all destroyed Christianity. I think it was 500 BC, or AD, excuse me, 500 AD. And they're probably at it for years, you know what I mean, fornicating with the unlawful wedded wife of Jesus Christ, Mary Magdalene or something like this. And terrible, the worst thing you can do. What's the worst thing you can do? And then you had the Christian prophet, Muhammad. Now this is interesting because Islam is basically saving Christianity, taking Lent, Ramadan very seriously, taking Christianity very seriously. It is Christianity for big boys. I'm drinking beer, I'm not bragging here on any Islamic. But then this whole thing in Islam about actual welcomed attendance of Jesus Christ, his friends and family. And then the actual welcome attendance of Muhammad and his friends and family. And they're both supposed to be somewhat very important. So there's probably something to do this about Sunni and Shia. And anyone can become a good Christian or Muslim. I was going to say, I don't like Muslim for some reason. I don't know that word. It doesn't do just Islamic person of Islam. I don't know. I just don't like it doesn't do it justice. I'm not sure of the etymology or the exact philology of the word. I just don't like it for some reason. It's Islamic people of Islam. But anyway, not to wear the topic. Mohammed saved Christianity. That's what I'm saying about Michael Corleone saved his father. Mohammed saved Christianity. And in that potential where Mohammed is successful and Islam are successful in saving Christianity, then Mohammed also becomes a lord. He achieves in lordship if... So, it's interesting then. So, just to settle these kind of things in Islam, if you are all really good Islamic people and super Christian, you know, and respect, and a bigger picture as well, it's a much bigger picture, and you save this greater picture, and you do save Jesus and perpetuate his lordship, but you also make Muhammad Lord as well. Muhammad is also Lord. So you are both right, or it's not wrong to say Muhammad is the Lord, but Muhammad is only Lord where Islam are successful, and this is what I realized. Like, Christianity is Lord where Jesus is successful in saving the tribe of Israel, or bringing. He saved the Levite. The Levite was the one bearing the crux of and a big crux of that 900 years of Ahab and Jezebel. This tormented man drinking beer. Crazy dreadlocks, living in the forest, crying alone. And they said he ate things like honey, and they criticised the things that he wore. Talking about the clothes I wear. But yeah, anyway. So insofar as Jesus is successful at saving the temple of Israel, or temple of Jacob, or the families of Israel, reuniting at least some of the families of Israel, he is Lord. I think Jesus achieved great lordship though. Like, you can't just be mad at it. But and he was very close to the daddy, which it's hard in times of no lordship. People beckon unto God, and if you read the Bible, which you're not supposed to do according to the Bible, it says, "Please don't bother God. God will appoint a Lord, and this Lord will practically speak, be the mouth of the Lord, mouthpiece." Like a man who had long forgotten his name, and had many crowns on his head, and had a cloth that was speckled in blood. It's down the stairs. And the most faithful, committed servant. So yeah, I don't know if that settles anything in the world of Islam. That Muhammad is Lord if Islam are successful in saving the lordship of Jesus. So you save both of them, Joseph, and both the Joseph family, Jesus, and I think Muhammad. I don't know where Muhammad came from, actually. It's interesting. I don't know if Muhammad is part of the Joseph family. He might be part of the Simeonites or something like this. You never know, something strange. He might be part of another family. I know, I'm fairly certain the Joseph family were the one, only had one kid. There was only one kid to the Joseph line in the whole holy Jacob family, holy royal Jacob family. I realise, like, Islam are so right, you know what I mean? And it's just hard to prove to all the white boys that they're right, because there's a lot to cough up. All of these gypsy infidels now, in retrospect, I love looking at things from a distance. Scientists try to get up very close and look at things. I love to look at things from a distance. And you were all as witnesses to the murders of the apostles, or you stole their orreries, or you hunted and hounded his friends and family, and married with them, and claimed yourselves to be divine. All them white boy royalty, all them Dutch, Swiss, French, they're all just professional persecutors of Christianity. If they had just befriended me, they didn't want to form an orderly queue to befriend me, so they all just ripped me off, and it was the worst thing they could have done. Like now they're just against me, and now they're opposed to me. And they made their bed, man. They ought to have just formed an orderly queue, like this King of King out in Iran formed an orderly queue and just got to break a beer. They weren't going to humble themselves in such a way, so they just thought to conspire together and rip me off, as predicted. And I'm fairly certain most people in Islam will be very familiar with the revelation of Jesus Christ. It's probably in the Quran. I'd imagine the revelation is in the Quran at some point. It's meant to be studying the Quran. I'm down on 8 or 9 years of study. Like, I was a pro scholar, studying at home and writing at home all the time. And then Jihad hit me, and you can't sit down and read a book. Like, everything is go, Jihad. You can't sit down and distract yourself. It's like, what are you taking more important than the situation? And you can't do anything. I even got a job trying to wash dishes on the weekends in a local Indian. I got spears in my kidneys. I was fucking burning, sodomized. My spinal fluid and cranial fluid was being drained by Rockefellers. We call it nectar. Draining, it's so painful, and your whole spine is just dried out and it's just cracking and crunching. And they're all drinking. It's just monstrous. Anyway, what is it supposed to be doing? Bringing some understanding to the world about the Joseph family that you all went to church with and tried your best in your cordial whose Gentile demeanours to befriend Mr. Mega Muslim Jesus Christ, Mr. Mega Islam Jesus Christ. And again, I don't know if Mohammed is from is even like technically essentially Jewish. I'd like to remind you that Islam are all, well, not all Jewish. Like Islam can be anyone you can convert to. You can be converting. You grow up with. The essential cores are Jewish. It's the Joseph family, the favourite boy. And he was the favourite boy of all the Jews. Yeah, it's the favourite Jew is Islam, and that's why they make a point about it. And they got a prophet and gave them a great guidance, particularly only for men. Though I'd like to. That's my criticism. I was supposed to only introduce later on. And private discretion with some Josephine people that you got. I understand this. You get the poetry that the person deserves. So if you only have a man interpreting your perfect Quran kind of thing, perfect Quran, you didn't ask his wife, and it might be very saucy or secret, very secret lines, and it's only meant to be given it to women in a way, or maybe like, but they didn't do that kind of, is what I meant to do. Like Islam had a great prophetic and following and potential, but they never actually asked from a female point of view. Moses had this problem as well. He asked from holy points of view, and then he asked from a humane point of view. So you really only did get a masculine law, and that's why Islam is apparently so masculine. Where the female law would contradict the masculine law, probably to a greater extent even then. But they will contradict each other, I swear they will, definitely even contradict each other. It happens all the time in the Bible. Even in the Bible, it's like, don't write Bibles. don't make Bibles in the Bible. Like just so many contradictions. It's lovely, it's wonderful, yeah, it's great. You just gotta just keep rolling with it for a while, and then you kind of start to see like a great many contradictions and things, and it's all part of it. Yeah, don't make Bibles in the Bible. It's even in the Bible, like, thou shalt not meet the hour. And even Islam trying their hardest and making their best efforts to pray about 5 or 7 times a day. It's technically meeting there, but they're in Jihad. See, they're making these desperate efforts to save Christianity, while all us white boys are like drinking beer and smoking and rocking out. And they do make the effort. It is not fair. It really is not fair. And I will bring humble advice, but they won't listen to you, Joe. Like, they won't listen to Islam. Like, it's hilarious. I think it's so funny, like, when they say, a towel head's like, a picnic blanket on their head or something. Listen to someone with a picnic blanket. It is explicitly a picnic blanket. That's exactly what you Christians sit on when you go to have a picnic. It's the thing that they wear on their heads. They're not sitting and eating off it. They put it on their heads. But yeah. It was a carpenter, and they built a table before there was tablecloth. I don't know. I don't think they were carpenters. I think that's just some weird, again, poetical parable about the Joseph family. They were built a machine, built a table. I don't think they were carpenters. I think they were a very religious family, Might have been a bit of a craftsman in his own time, but I don't think trinkets. But I don't think. I think very religious family. Very religious family. He had public representation, and he could give public representation to the dreadlock hippie Rasta hobo, who was bearing the crux of. Since Jacob, he's bearing a crux of Israeli royalty. Being a hobo, this is his job. That's interesting. If you're Judean, like, you get to be super rich and have loads of women and even kitties and they have wine and they're doing everything. And if you're the Levite, you have to starve in a forest alone in celibacy and other commitments. That's the way they divided it up. the 14 brothers and one sister. There's one sister. It was important because they say all about male and lineage in Judaism and the male line and the keeping of the male lines. But there was a daughter. I think Nefertiti. I can't remember her name, and would be very sacred and special. You're supposed to kind of like read these names and forget them in the Bible whenever you come across particularly female names. Like just read. They're usually always pseudoic names anyway. Like in the Bible, they're very funny. Like if you could actually speak or read Hebrew, it'd be hilarious, absolutely hilarious. The names and things that they call people. Like, really didn't want that child, and really, really, really didn't want that child. Weird pseudoic names because it's problematic when you know their real names. Even Jesus is just a title. Jesus Christ is a title. So like you have Zeus, who is some like lord, typically some like chronological lord, king and lord, you know, kingly kind of, you know what I mean. And then you had this Jesus who's higher than this. Well, I'm not gonna say that about Zeus. Like Zeus is probably some sort of like archetype that's like very pertaining to like ancient Greece. But he would like Zeus was like raping everything. Like he was very bestial. Zeus was always showing up in like a beast form and raping women, in swan form and raping women, in bull form and doing terrible things. Then you have Jesus, like in Jay-Z and all these, and Jesus. That's what Jay-Z kind of represents Jesus. I don't know what J kind of explicitly represents. It's not very Hebrewic. There's no kind of J. But like good Lord, I think that's what Jesus means, is good Lord. Good Lord, and he was Krishna as well, which means he was very like poverty and piety and chastity. He was great Lord, and that's what the title is, Jesus Christ. Because it's very hard to achieve such a thing, like being a massive potential Lord of the world, but also, you know, he likes taking care of the lambs and gentle shepherd. Like he's not the typical Rockefeller or you know, high rolling food, another plate of food, you know. And it's kind of Lord. You had the Jesus who was Krishna. It's a title, you know. I think it's a title. So you don't want to know his name. It's nice to be humble and ignorant. This is a good place for ignorance, I've always found. Ignorance is to ignore something, to pretend, like, and there's always a wonderful place to place some positive ignorance. Respectfully not want to know your name. I have loads of Kabbalah books, so many books on Kabbalah. Not to promote this. It's not. It's dynamite. It's like playing radium or plutonium. So you really have to be prudent. But there's lots of words and names, and you just don't want to know them. And I think that's very respectful ignorance. Like you just overlook them. It's like, oh crap, and especially crap like rituals and all that shit. It's like I don't even ignore that. It's like fucking gypsies. What were we talking about again? Zelensky, no. Yeah, so if Michael Corleone is successful in saving Vito, he becomes the Lord. And that's how you preserve lordship, is you save your family. So if Prince William was God save the King? If you save the Queen, I didn't like the world saying God save the King when Elizabeth had just passed. Like you still need to be singing God save the Queen, particularly at that time, you know? When she's in between hither and thither or whatever. And I was like, God save the King. I want to be singing the Queen for about 13 years. Anyway, Charlie, you know me. No, you don't. You're meant to. So simple, Charlie. So simple, Charlie. So simple, Charlie. How'd you have to go to make things difficult? I got her to 103. Mama. Little mama. You can't really get up on a stage, Charlie, and try to be the king of a great kingdom and say, Mama, my dear Mama. Like, no. You might have balls, Charlie. You must never know. That was Is that football? I'm not very proud about it. Like Russia isn't it? I'm moving to, don't tell anyone I'm moving to Russia. Cheap gas. Traditional values. Christianity. Vodka. I don't know vodka. Beautiful women. Original architecture. Tolstoy. World famous literature. Move to Russia. Don't delay. Western runaway governments are taking over the world. Don't delay. Like good Republican values. Russia, China. Move to Russia. Yeah. Don't tell anyone. I'm seeking asylum. Legitimately seeking asylum from a first world, one of the wealthiest countries in the world. And that's why I'm seeking asylum. And Ireland has been flooded. We have an immigration problem in Ireland. It's hilarious. We're a bit of a tax haven, and we're very comfortable between America and the entire EU as a nice focal point and transition point. We have become so inundated with wealthy people, and it's hilarious because it's on the radio. It's like, we need to put a cap on all the people coming to this country. And they say like immigrants. They're the richest people in the world. And people are like, oh, you're terrible not letting the immigrants in. It's like, you stupid people don't realise they're letting too many rich people into this country. And that's exactly what's in too many. And they're all bunking you out of your properties. And they're all repossessing your farms. And they're taking over your country. And it's like, we need to put a cap on all the rich people coming to Ireland. And Ireland is so oblivious. They just think it's like Ugandan refugees from Ukraine at the moment. And all this kind of stuff. It's like, no, it's wealthy people. Wealthy people completely flooded this country. That's why I'm seeking asylum out of this country. Because they're the worst people, aren't they? The richest people. They do the things you haven't even thought about. I remember I thought about this as well. It's like, they probably just want to do the things they can't do. So when you become really rich, you become a very wealthy person, you probably just want to do the things you're not supposed to do. Or like, you can't afford to do. So you just want to go like, to an island and just hunt men and shoot men or do these horrible things that you wouldn't have done until you had some potential freedom to express the things that you're not supposed to do. It's not like they want to do the things they're not supposed to do, they just do them because they're the things that you're not supposed to do. But anyway, they bring all that terrible stuff that came to this country. Religious absurdity. Oh, they're killing children. I get in trouble for talking about it, but it's on the news. Augmented reality. Oh, they're killing kids under religious absurdity, claiming they have a right. Like, I warned them about this, and they didn't listen, and now they're... Islam know what's going on there. Russia know what I'm talking about. You know, Russia had to mop up Syria. You know what mopped up Rio de Janeiro, Vlad, or Mr. Putin, sorry, or over here? A big statue of Jesus, yes. When everybody recognised true lordship. True lordship, that's the nice thing I'd like to introduce to Islam and loads of it's like, we need a massive history of Israel. Massive history, like Elvis Presley, Kurt Cobain. I think Madonna stole her husband's orrery, so Madonna's nothing to celebrate. I think she's just Helen of Troy of some sort. There's lots of people that meant to be duly respected. And just like saving the Lord, if you truly and honestly respect them, then I think that's what Disney's about, truly and honestly respecting special people. But then they just all got coveted, and you wanted to have sex with them and make them slaves and sodomize them all. And that's probably why I showed up. Anyway, yeah, it's Jinkui. I noticed actually that these Jews drink this kind of little winey, kind of sake looking thing. And I was thinking I wanted to drink with Islam loads. I really want to go drinking with Islam. All of Islam, you know, I want to go drinking Islam. Beers, and I want to go drinking beers with the boys. But I was thinking they wouldn't like to drink beers, but I was thinking there's some sort of little sake or white wine kind of little thing. I think that's okay for them to drink. And I recently saw some of these Jews. while they're tearing down their that's another video of them tearing down family homes. Tearing down homes. Just put that into context in your own country. Say your son is considered or convicted a felon. Considered or convicted a criminal. And your government come around with a bulldozer and drive through your house. I was like, is it really social protection or social justice? That's pretty ancient law. Like, from 70 AD or something, and we can come around to your house and tear down your dwellings. Like, it's pretty monkey, you know what I mean? That's pretty fucking monkeyish there, Israel, or Benjamin, or whatever your name is. I mean, come around because your son is allegedly or supposedly convicted a felon, and we can tear down your entire family home. What the fuck? I'm gonna make Israel look safe. Unless they had an opportunity to befriend me, but if they don't befriend me, it's just like the Vatican and the royalty. I'm just gonna just dig them up and disgrace them. Do you know, Israel have an army, and like, you're hardly preserving the lordship of Abraham, you know, and that's what you monkeys are all about, isn't it? Excuse me. Preserving the lordship, and Abraham's lordship only achieves if all lordships hitherto are achieved, which includes Joseph, Jacob, and yeah, back to Abraham, you know, and yeah, Moses was just a prophet. It's hard to say if Moses has ever achieved, you know, very hard to say Moses has ever. It's probably his rest will be great. I'm not sure. Somebody's rest is great. I need a rest. I need a shiatsu. Anyway. Yes, receive the word. Yes, put me on TV. Save your balls. Save your sperm. Gospel truth is with me. Anything else before we go? On the queers. It's a bit of a weird place that I want to put comments of the queers. I'm a friend of Islam and China and Russia and the LGBTQ squared community. I'm a friend of everybody. So everybody, no matter how different you all are, in Germany and I don't like Western Europe anymore. Friend of every way though. So you all have friendship in me. That's a point of religion. A point of religion through me. I'll have a friend in me. I'll explain it all. Can't wait to move to the Eastern world. It's going to be so much. But the Western world had their opportunity with me. They had me begging, and dancing. And I realised, why am I trying to appease a bunch of murderers and rapists, Rockefellers and military and Western scumbags? And they don't even find respect in good deeds. You know, like, I make lots of good deeds and good efforts. And loads of things, celibacy, like servility, and the efforts I go through in life. And they just don't respect them. It's like, why was I trying desperately to be respected by horrible murderers, gangsters, and rapes? Gangsters are weaksters. You know, if you're in a gang, you're a weakling. That's why you need a gang. Like me and Nietzsche, rocket cell. Myself and Nietzsche, rocket cell. If you need a gang, you're a soft boy, aren't you? Because you need loads of these gangsters. Yeah, there's weakness in numbers. But it's holiness and Jihad. I'd like also to refer you to this, anyone from Islam watching my video. I don't believe that anything from the world from Islam had anything to do with the 9/11 attacks. I think it was like aliens or some higher intelligence just going, and nobody knew what happened. You know, aliens nuked Japan, yeah. And no one, it's blatantly obvious, aliens nuked Japan, or like a higher divinity or higher power nuked up. Some big black finger came down from the sky and went, and then everybody asked their key sources what happened, and they started to try and replicate it, because it doesn't make sense. It happened and nobody knew how it happened, and they were all racing to Sellafield and Oppenheimer and all, were suddenly racing to figure out how it happened. Aliens, New Japan. Don't get too high on your horse there, Japan. Don't get too superior. Gotta smoke a bong. Can't wait to drink with you anyway. Islam Shinko, and observe.